Greetings, respected viewers. I'm George from Ireland. Here I am in Kensington, London, and behind me you can see the house where John Everett Millais, Sir John, lived the latter part of his life and indeed died. You can see how enormous it is, and where it's situated, just a stone's throw from Hyde Park, gives you an idea of how wealthy he was. Indeed, he was knighted for his artwork, the first artist to be so honoured. So Millais was born in Southampton in 1829. His parents are both from Jersey, not New Jersey, Jersey the island just off the coast of France, but it has been part of France for many centuries. So it's part of the Channel Isles. It's politically connected to the United Kingdom, but not actually in the United Kingdom. And in those days, Jersey was French-speaking. English has taken over more and more. It's not very French-speaking anymore. They've got their own dialect, Norman French, Jerryese. But anyway, he was born in this country, so he grew up speaking fluent English, and his surname, Millais, indicates his Jersey French ancestry. So his parents were moderately well off. He was exceptionally gifted as an artist, and his talents were so prodigious that he was admitted at the Slade School of Art at the age of only 11, a feat which no one accomplished before or since. So he by his mid-teens, he'd begun his career as a professional artist, and he was wildly successful. His work was very, very popular, painting in bitumen and oil mainly. So he was part of a movement called the PreRaphaelite Brotherhood. That was an informal set of artists who looked back to the 14th century, before Raphael came along and revolutionized Western art. So they were sort of neo-medieval, and there was a time when there was this cult of the medieval, people rhapsodizing about the Middle Ages and having this rather unrealistic and romanticized view of what the Middle Ages were. That in days of old, when knights were bold and whatever, modernism wasn't invented. So in days of yore, things were not so morally uplifting as they would like to imagine, and life was grim for most people, and indeed people were not particularly moral either. But anyway, they felt that their style of art was to be morally uplifting, and it was in his parents' house on Gower Street that the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood actually wrote down the principles that were to guide them, and they're deliberately quite broad. I can't remember them off by heart, but it was really to be soulful in what they produced. They felt typical 19th century art was too soulless. To look back to examples of morally uplifting art from the past, to always be sincere, to pay very close attention to the natural world, not simply to people, certainly not to mechanical things. You may notice that their paintings, they're often set many centuries ago, and they painted models sometimes. They rarely painted people to say this is a portrait of a famous person, or someone who's actually simply commissioned me to do it. No, usually they're biblical scenes or scenes from the Middle Ages. She's very well known for Ophelia, her dead body floating in the water, for La Belle Dame sans Merci, Christ in the house of his parents, I can't think what else, the Huguenot, and these are historical scenes. Moreover, their art couldn't be simply aesthetically pleasing, it had to convey a message. Now Millais was not political, and again this is a time of intense political debate and change. He was around the time of the Chartists, the Anti-Corn Law League, the Home Rule movement for Ireland. The British Empire expanded to its zenith. The Conservatives and the Liberals were knocking seven bells out of each other. There were debates about extending the franchise to more men, but all this seems to have passed him by. So who were his contemporaries in the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood? It was Dante Gabriel Rossetti, who was born here to Italian parents. It was William Morris, who was a bit older than him. To some extent, John Ruskin, who was much older than him. Let me see, Holman Hunt, and a few others. That's the sort of inner circle of the PRB, and they would often sign their paintings PRB, and there were others who were much further out. So they're often set in the Sylvan Glade. The locale may well be abroad in the Holy Land, as they would have called it, Italy or France, places like that. So beautiful and evocative scenes, and the background, the wildlife, any animals, or say flora, those are painted with as much care as the people, and usually painting in bitumen. So he was knighted for his efforts. Anyway, that is enough about John Everett Millais, who painted various other scenes. I think that one about the Wars of the Roses, plucking the roses in Temple Gardens, if I've got it correct, he's the one who painted that as well. They're sensual, his paintings. They're often not that clearly defined, the light. And these are quite soft colours, pastel colours is what he tended to favour. So that's just a little bit about John Everett Millais. His house is now the Zambian High Commission. For a country where most people do not have a lot of money, isn't it a bit extravagant that the High Commissioner is here? I think, is it the High Commissioner's residence? I think that's what it is, rather than the actual High Commission, i.e. embassy. Because Commonwealth countries have got high commissions to each other, not embassies, on the basis they're not truly foreign to each other. And the High Commission is the person in charge. That's enough about John Everett Millais. Toodaloo.